Welcome back to Retiring Today. Here is another look at our Ask the Advisor question. I was married to my ex-spouse, but my 10 years was split up. 7 years and we divorced, and then 5 years and divorced again. So I had 12 years, but not all at once. How does this work? So Loren, we were talking about this. Pretty sure that this pertains to Social Security. How does this work with Social Security benefits?
Yeah, and the answer to this question ultimately is going to be dependent upon some of the details that we don't have in this question. So the question is a little vague, but that's okay. What I'll do is I'll explain the rule to you, and then hopefully you can take that and apply it to your situation on how it works. And there's a couple things in here as far as how does it pertain, right? We could talk about spousal benefits, we can talk about survivorship benefits. All of that could go into this question. But the big determining factor is going to be how long were you split up? You have the 10 years because you were married in total for 12 years, but how long was that separation? How long was the split up in between there? So the way that the rule works, and I'll just give you an example. Let's say that you divorced June of 2019. The Social Security rule says is that as long as you were remarried by the end of the next calendar year, so by the end of December 2020, if you were remarried, then you can link those years together and add it and have it add up. So even though you had some separation in between, you got remarried by the end of the next calendar year, it counts for that 10 years. Now, because of Social Security legislation law changes that took place 2016, you would not be eligible for a spousal benefit because you're no longer married, at least according to the question. That's how it reads. So you're no longer married to this individual, you wouldn't be eligible for any spousal benefits, but you could be eligible for survivorship benefits because you have that 10-year. So assuming you did not get remarried prior to the age of 60 and your ex-spouse passes away, then you could have some eligibility for some survivorship benefits off of your ex-spouse's benefit.
And remind us, Loren, what's significant about 10 years of being married when it comes to Social Security?
The criteria is if you were divorced, then you had to be married for more than 10 years. So in this, and that's why that this viewer is asking, is because they were married for longer than 10 years, but it wasn't consecutive. So they met the 10-year qualification because the split up time was not, they got remarried within the next calendar year.
And that's in order to claim, and I probably won't get this quite right, but in order to claim the benefit of your ex-spouse, like let's say their benefit would be larger than yours or more money than yours. Sometimes you can claim their benefit even when you aren't married anymore.
In this case, it sounds like only if the ex-spouse passes away, then there's a survivorship benefit that is available. So if your ex-spouse's benefit, let's just say it was $2,000 a month, regardless of what your benefit is, you might be eligible for that $2,000. And it depends upon have you claimed your benefit or not claimed your benefit. So there's a lot of if-thens that go into this, but the idea is your 10 years does count as long as you got remarried within that time frame. If you didn't, then the 10 years doesn't count.
And in case you can't tell, electing Social Security is kind of complicated, Loren, and it goes back to this retirement planner versus accumulation advisor. I mean, I know you stay up to date on all of the Social Security legislation. Several members of the Merkle retirement planning team do because this stuff is complicated and it's what your retirement planner should help you do. And that's what you kind of want to look for when you're getting ready to retire.
Not only do we provide guidance on what of the 81 different options that a married couple would have or the options that a single individual would have, not only do we provide guidance on what the elections should be when it pertains to not only Social Security alone, but also when we incorporate the other investments that you have available to take income, maybe a pension for income, the tax planning, like all of this stuff is integrated. But then we also file Social Security benefits for our families as well. So the filing process, we filed hundreds of times. When you file Social Security, most likely it's your first time. So we make that easy for our families because we just do it. Same thing with Medicare. When it comes to Medicare planning, when you're eligible for Medicare, we will not only provide guidance on what are the best Medicare options for you, but then we also file it for our families as well.
Yeah, that's a real value add. So we talk about the value add. Some of it can be quantified in dollars, but others, parts of a value add of a retirement planner really isn't quantifiable in dollars, but it's quantifiable in peace of mind or getting it right or having someone help you that's done it several times.
Yeah, one of the biggest pieces of feedback that we get is that they just feel better. They just feel better. They see their plan, even once the plan is developed, the plan needs to be tweaked. It needs to be evaluated to make sure that it's still doing everything that we need it to do, given all the legislative changes, economic environment, life circumstances. And so even at reviews, after review, people feel better knowing they're on track. Here's some specific ways we need to dial in the plan or refine the plan. Here's some things that we don't need to because it's working exactly as designed. And as you stay on top of the plan, it allows you to worry about other things than what's going to fuel your retirement financially. It allows you to focus on the grandkids and the kids or the travels or all these activities that you really want to do now that you have the freedom of time, and you don't have to worry about all the financial stuff that is mandatory to allow you to be able to do that.
So at the beginning of this show, you told us about a couple. They had an advisor for a long time. They were friends. They golfed. They probably did dinners and all kinds of things, but they saw the tax saving piece and decided it was time to part ways. Did you get any feedback from that couple on how that parting went, or did they talk to you about what it could look like, or what advice would you give to people if this might be the step they need to take?
Yeah, the easiest way to break up with your advisor, I guess is probably the best way to say it, is to stay high level. Because the more in the weeds you get, the harder it is going to be for you, especially the deeper that relationship is with the accumulation advisor. So typically the easiest way to go about it is thank you for what you've done. It really helped, but we just decided to go in a different direction. And that's it, and leave it at that. So this particular couple, they didn't quite take that guidance, and I understand it's hard, right? They're your friend. They've been friends for a long time, so they thought they owed it to him to go into a little bit more. It was harder for them because the conversation went back and forth, but ultimately they just kept remembering all this money they were leaving on the table by not engaging in the retirement planning, just focusing on the investments and the investments only. So it was a tough decision. It was tough for them to do. It was a tough conversation, but ultimately they understood why they were doing it. They realized it was in their best interest to do so and engage in the planning, so it's what they did. And again, most families that come to us, they already have an advisor. They're not unhappy with the advisor. They just come to the realization that the advisor is an accumulation specialist, not a retirement planner, and now they need a retirement planner to get through this next phase of their life.
Thank you for watching this clip of Retiring Today, and don't forget to subscribe. If you have questions about your retirement plan, take advantage of the complimentary 15-minute retirement checkup phone call.